Welcome back. Of course, right now we're basically talking about a totally different dispensation, talking about marginalized areas. Well, the devolved government is in to set out or sort out their situation. Today we're focusing on Wajir County. We're talking to the senator, that is Abdirahman Hassan. Abdirahman Hassan, of course, is not a new entrant as far as politics is concerned. He was the former Member of Parliament of Wajir South constituency. Now the people of Wajir County as a whole have honoured him to be their senator. Welcome indeed. Thank you so much indeed.
That's very good.
Thank you.
Very well. Of course, Wajir County, let me say, is set to celebrate its 101 years of existence since 1912. Is it going to be a totally different day or sort of a new dawn for them now that we have a new regime?
Yes, indeed. We've come through different phases in terms of development, in terms of challenges. We actually see the current dispensation in terms of governance as a way out of the number of problems we've had in the past. We feel it's a new opening, a new chapter, a new dawn in which we'll be able to lead our people towards the better lives.
A new dawn indeed. Of course, one question that really comes into play is the place of Wajir County for decades has been described as a marginalized area. But right now we're talking about the devolved government. Of course, the national, the North Kenya ministry was there to sort of legitimize the fact that it was actually a marginalized area. But earlier on, if you can remember, the Commission on Revenue Allocation launched the marginalized policy, simply basically to focus on marginalized areas. Does that mean now your problems have been sorted out?
Not really, but before talking about whether problems have been solved or not, I will want to approach from the perspective that Wajir was not marginalized in isolation. The northern Kenya as a whole, including Upper Eastern, had similar problems. And this stems not from only independent Kenya, but the colonial legacy that we've come through. The fact that these were closed districts at the beginning. The fact that those officers or even governments that came right after independence did not understand what those parts of the country needed, have actually contributed significantly to the underdevelopment that you witness today. I will not also want to join the club that says we're marginalized, we're marginalized. We've seen a little bit of change the last 10 years, honestly. But the truth remains, years of neglect, years of underdevelopment cannot be sorted out very easily. So we still face challenges. The Revenue Allocation Commission, which you say has actually brought up a policy in terms of trying to bring up some contribution in terms of resource allocation, has yet to take effect. Maybe we'll witness that in this current devolved governance structure.
There's this county development index that is within the policy that sort of sets the criterion as to how you can identify marginalized counties. And of course, according to the criteria, you have been allocated about 240 million shillings. Is that enough money to perhaps handle some, if not most, of your issues?
It's peanuts. 240 million is peanuts. To do a boho, for instance, in places where I come from, one boho will cost between 8 to 10 million shillings. Wajir County is the third largest county in this country, covering 56,000 square kilometers. 56,000 square kilometers, central and western provinces combined. 240 million shillings, for instance. Looking at the priorities in health, in education, in water, it's peanuts. But our hope is in the fact that we will have some significant allocation for the county governments if that is put in place, we expect some change. But 240 million per se really is not a significant amount of money.
Of course, as
But
a start.
when you talk about the square kilometers, what about population? The people are not there. The population is not much. Then it's sparse population. So to serve the people who are sparsely, they are not together. So it's very difficult.
This is why we say we've been misunderstood
Yes.
by policymakers and planners in this country.
Yes.
Our population is not that small. It's close to 1.5 million in Wajir today. That is not a small number.
Yeah, no, of course not.
Where people may walk 1 kilometer to get water from a watering point, people in our places have to move distances as much as 100 kilometers or even 150 kilometers. So the issue is not actually the population. The issue is whether the needs have been targeted over time by successive governments. And this has not happened. In some small way, yes, but it has not happened fully. I have a feeling that with the change now, in terms of managing our affairs at the local level, we'll be able to make a difference. Because we'll be able to target our priorities and in the most efficient way. So I have a feeling that this new dispensation gives us an opportunity to tackle our issues in the most appropriate manner.
But we blame the government, which is a fact that governments have ignored the northeastern area for all those years. But what the people themselves done for themselves? How have you mobilized the people
I think
to act and take care of their interests, government or no government?
People in those areas have been able to cope up with serious challenges in life, including droughts, on their own, with serious consequences at times, including loss of lives and livelihoods. People have tried the much they could. Interventions through donor agencies. So it's not that people are voting 100% KANU or 100% ODM, except for the Wajir case now, where ODM had taken over almost all the seats, whether it's at the county level or at the parliamentary seat level or at county.
What you wanted to do, why did they switch from to ODM? What were they unhappy with the Kibaki government, or were they why ODM?
It was just the alliances.
Okay.
It's not that they were unhappy with the Kibaki administration. Some of us have worked with the Kibaki administration for long, and if the ship that we want to use to actually move on becomes ODM, then you go into ODM. So it's not that we hated a particular administration. We had worked with the Kibaki administration for a while. There were some significant changes. Hopefully the new one, the Jubilee one, will be able to do something also. In our areas, parties are not even a big issue, by the way.
It's the clan.
The individuals. Clan and individuals. Clan matters. And it's not only in the Northeast where clan issues are really come into play during elections. In several other parts of the country, a similar thing happens.
There was actually an article that was written looking at political analysts giving their view, especially in relation to the fact that you were elected as former Member of Parliament, Wajir South, and then of course we went to a by-election and we had Mohamed Sirat taking over. And the political analysts were basically saying that you are a serious threat in the county politics. What's your response to that?
It isn't very clear when one says a serious threat, a serious security threat, a serious threat in terms of being a strong challenger.
Well, politics, if we compare you to Mohamed Sirat.
We cannot be compared because he was fairly a newcomer. I had served in that county in various capacities in the past, including leading one constituency. So there is nothing much in relation to Sirat when it comes to being a threat. You know, it's not very clear when you say a threat in the county. A threat in the county in terms of what? What did the analysts say, honestly?
Purely in relation to politics.
Raila was described as an enigma in Kenyan politics. Politics in Wajir County, minus me, maybe it's not going to be very sweet. That's what it meant.
Well,
So,
tell us,
I mean,
but I want you to tell us, now you've got a bigger mandate. You're in Wajir East.
Wajir County.
Yeah, well, Wajir County. But he used to represent Wajir South. There are people who are asking now, now that we are senator representing the entire county, will you be fair to all of the other?
Indeed, yes. I was very fair in Wajir South constituency to all those who inhabit that constituency. And I'll be more fairer in the larger Wajir County. And I think that's why they had bestowed this trust in me. If they didn't have that trust in me, I would not have been elected across the county. Across the county.
Just for clarification purposes, because this is a report, these are reports in the public domain. In 2007 elections, you denied allegations that you bribed voters. And of course, you also disputed claims that refugees from the neighboring Somalia had actually voted for you. So now, the whole county has considered you as their senator. Does that mean there is more trust in your leadership?
I do feel so. I do feel so.
And in regards to all those claims and allegations,
allegations in petitions are allegations. Allegations of voter bribery, allegations of vote stealing. It featured even in the national election recently, you know. Allegations are allegations as far as I'm concerned.
But that's what exactly led to the by-election, right?
No, I mean, a judge has just decided to rule in favor of my opponent.
In favor?
Yes, that was my thinking. I mean, there were no sufficient grounds to annul my election. I just don't want to reflect back on that for now.
Right.
As I want us to progress, because I'm no longer serving with Wajir South. It's no longer of interest to me.
Okay.
I lost in the by-election. I wasn't a bitter man. I moved forward. I decided to look for a seat.
Let me ask you something about the population census. When the census was done, the Minister for Planning disputed the census figures for the whole that area, and he wanted to do a repeat. The leaders there said no. The figures are correct. Obviously, up now that matter has not been resolved. But when it came to the registration of voters, they are not comparable to the population. What do you say about that?
You know, when we started to speak with you, Mutegi, you said the areas are sparsely populated.
Yes.
Many of our political leaders in this country, many of our people in this country come from a background where they always think that these people have small numbers. Much of what the planning minister talked about were perceptions based on what you are trying to bring up yourself.
That's not me, it is what the argument was.
Agreed.
By the Ministry of Planning and the population, the national population says and people.
I feel it was not justified. It was not justified. Our people, many of our people have actually missed registration. These are people who move from one place to the other. And at times, if the censuses are conducted in a dry spell, they even cross borders in search of water and pasture. So we feel our people have not been sufficiently enumerated. Our figures will have been much more.
But what I'm saying is that when it came to voter registration, if you compare the people who are registered to vote and the people who are registered as population census, the discrepancy is big.
I want you to come to the fact that the lifestyles in sedentary areas are quite different from pastoral areas. In pastoral areas, because of the labor demand, many people are at the watering point. They will not even come to register. Illiteracy is another factor. People do not know that they have a reason to vote, many a times, and they simply ignore it. So you'll find many a times only 50% of our people are registered as voters. Only 50% of our people are enumerated in any census. We've not had a full chance to have our people captured in any given census.
Okay, let's go back to security. That area is prone to serious insecurity. And the reason is because of Al-Shabaab. There is a serious infiltration of terrorists, Al-Shabaab, in that area. Because there is no way people in security can know who is Somali and who is Somali Kenyan.
I want to say that we've borne the brunt of the insecurity in Somalia over time because of our proximity to the border. The constituency that I represented, for instance, has at one point, at one of its ends, a place called Diff, which is only 7 kilometers to the border. It's the same in Wajir East and it's the same in Mandara. Nairobi has seen serious security challenges. And you can imagine the distance between Nairobi and the nearest point, Doble, for instance, which is close to Liboi border. If Nairobi can experience serious security challenges arising not only from Somalia, but even from other border countries, we expect some problems in Wajir. The problem has not been as severe as it is. Al-Shabaab is a global problem. It's not actually a Kenyan problem alone, and it's not a Wajir problem alone. But I must say, to the of late, Garissa isn't very good now. We all know. And it's coming from the Al-Shabaab threat. I want to say that we have experienced our highs and lows in security in that region. But unfortunately, I'm not a man who blames government always, because I've been part of government in the past. And I know what a leader can do and what a leader cannot do, and what government can achieve and what it cannot achieve. But I want to say security has been a challenge.
Right. Of course, just looking at security and, of course, even the issue of marginalization, there's still also the place of Wajir still remains a gem. I mean, you look at the county with its mineral resources, we're talking about limestone and sand, the place of even having solar and wind energy potential. What is your response to people who perhaps feel, you know what, we don't see that. Yes, the world might see that, but we don't see that. And they're now moving from the locality, moving to urban areas such as Garissa and even Isli in Nairobi. What is your response to that?
I want to appreciate what you have raised in terms of potentials in the county. And even above what you said, livestock rearing is a key area in which we've not been able to explore much in terms of opportunities. Those are some of the things our county government will be able to address, because there's huge potential that will have created employment for the youth, that will have improved our economic capacity, that will have actually spurred our development locally and even nationally. Those are priority areas we have actually to look at, whether we'll have to do it in unison with the national government or what we can achieve even in terms of a devolved government structure. We'll be able to prioritize this along with the governor and other leaders, I'm sure, with time. But it's really important to explore those potentials, and they are there. They are there. Not only that, even agriculture. Pockets of that county actually can provide some food for the local population and even sell them out, particularly the north, the south, which I come from. So there are many more opportunities people can look at.
You come from an education background, and Wajir education, I don't know whether how many schools, whether you are happy with the school going, particularly for girl child.
It's low.
And because of nomadism or that movement of people, schools, education there is a little bit lacking.
True. The literacy levels are as low as 30%, really. And for girls, it's even worse. It's as low as 15%. So it's an area really which we need to address. There are serious challenges in terms of provision of education services, and worse off for the nomadic population. The Ministry of Education has actually piloted, with the help of some organizations, the possibility of starting up nomadic education. I will want to say that there was need to actually put up some nomadic education commission. So they address this wholly, not only for Wajir, but all pastoral areas, including parts of Rift Valley, parts of Eastern Province, the entire Northeast. So it's a challenge. Education provision is a challenge.
But maybe I'm wrong, but to me I see as if you guys who are educated and come to Nairobi and go to Isli and live there, you would like your people to remain that way so that they can always vote for you.
Can I?
It has happened, I've seen it happen in certain constituencies. People want their population to remain backward so that they can control them and vote them for them without any opposition.
Mutegi, the population in Isli are only a small fraction when it comes to the people in northern Kenya who still reside in those areas. We don't call Nairobi our home. Many of the people have moved into Nairobi in search of employment. I mean, it's not that people really wanted just to come and stay. They have either come for business or for employment or for other opportunities. But the truth is the local population in the northeast or in Wajir still reside in those areas. And they can't leave. But the challenges in education, the challenges in water shortage, the challenges in security, the challenges in underdevelopment overall still persists. Something has been done. When I took over, for instance, Wajir South, it was a sub-district. We moved it to a district status. There were very few secondary schools. We increased the number of secondary schools. We increased the number of health facilities. We had put up a power station. That's why I said the Kibaki administration has done at least something good. At least it gave me 100 million shillings for power in Habaswen. So we did. But you see, long years of neglect, 50 years of neglect, cannot be solved by a small bit of development. If you give me, say, 500 million shillings for just out alone, when you look at the demands, it becomes something small. So my belief and my hope rests in the fact that some more funds will be channeled from the national kitty to the county governments, and we have an opportunity, for instance, as the Senate from the area, along with my governor, we should be able to explore other opportunities in which we'll be able to source for more funding. It does not have to be only from government alone. We can raise from donors, as long as the national government can also join us in those efforts to mobilize resources so that we can develop and move at par with the rest of Kenyans. We are not there to blame and say government A, government B has failed us. That is history. I also keep on saying we don't have to complain of marginalization. We've complained for so long. We want to stop it there. We want to move on, run like other Kenyans, and pick up, and pick up.
Right. Of course, as far as education is concerned, you've played a couple of roles as the district education officer and, of course, a former primary school head teacher. Now, looking at the way forward as a senator, how will you convince people that you can be trusted as an honest leader when there are reports like in 2002 you were sued for allegedly misappropriating 78 million by some local residents? How do you convince people?
I want to add on the fact that I had also worked as a program officer education in Oxfam GB, an international aid agency. The allegations of misappropriation were malicious, I want to put it that way, by my political detractors. Losers become bitter. I had bitter losers in the 2007 elections. Bitter losers who kept on running after me even in the 2012 elections. They will continue to be bitter. Those were allegations that were never proved. They went to court. It was even dismissed. I knew who had filed those court cases of CDF. They were rendered irrelevant with time, and they will continue. But what I want to tell Kenyans and Wajir in particular, my history speaks for itself all through. I'm a man of development, a man of progress. Not that I want to praise myself. Time will also be able to prove what I'm saying. I have the people in my heart always, not my own self first. And I promise to steer the towards the attainment of the desired goals. In all the areas they have,
talked about
terms of problems.
wind power. That county is big, as you said. What makes it difficult to harness wind power and generate energy and use it there? You have said the president of the government gave you 100 million to do something to do with energy. Why can't that area be harnessed and produce
it's
energy
possible.
to the national grid?
To the national grid?
Yeah.
Resources. If resources are committed, either from the national kitty or from donors, we can do that fairly as quickly as possible. So the thing is, from the onset I told you, there must be some political goodwill. Governments have responsibilities over their people. Obligation, actually it's an obligation. People must deliver to their constituents. People must deliver to the citizenry they lead. So that political goodwill and commitment has not been there. This is a fact. Nobody can hide that. But I think now that we have an opportunity to do it, both at the national level and at the county level, we should be able to explore those opportunities and ensure that during the period we are now serving, we should be able to make a difference. We're committed to it. We've pledged this in the past during our campaigns. We're serious about it, and we'll be able to do it, God willing.
In your view, what are your priorities?
My priority areas, education, health, water, and infrastructural development, including the power and roads.
Yeah. Perhaps just a final word, just to bring out the beauty of Wajir County. Of course, the Kenya national monuments in Wajir, like the Wajir Museum, the Wagala massacre site, and in fact there was a person who sent us a message talking about the old courthouse and Yahut Dam. What is your final word, especially talking of even local tourism?
One of the prime responsibilities of the county government is actually to enhance local tourism. Many times people have not understood, including the local community, on really what we have in terms of opportunities, as you said. I think we'll have it as a core responsibility to ensure that we're able to develop the local tourism so that Kenyans and even people from outside can come and really see what we have. We've good potentials. It's not that we do not have. So we'll see it as a priority area.
Do you have a reasonable airstrip?
Oh yes, we have a military airport that was to be commercialized. Part of it was supposed to be commercialized.
And then what happened?
It has not been done. To my knowledge, there was even a cabinet approval to have that done. We need now to push the national government to ensure that we operationalize part of that airport for commercial use. I had mentioned earlier on that we keep livestock in good numbers. An abattoir is being developed in Wajir. We should be able to operationalize, once completed, that abattoir and use the same airport to actually export meat to the Middle East, or even live animals, just like what they do from the Barbara airport. We just need to organize our people. Trade is one of the county government's responsibilities, and provision of markets. I think it's an area we really have to look at and see how we can help our people out of the poverty, which they are not there really because they want to be, but they are not there. They are there because their priorities have not been looked at. So we'll try our best, plan as a team. It's not that only the senator can do this alone. The senator can do it in isolation. The senator will have to work with the local leadership from the constituencies. The senator will have to work with the entire county government and the national government political leadership, so that it's only through a concerted effort that we'll be able to reach where we're going. So I'll encourage team spirit. I'll encourage, the ability to really mobilize sufficient resources locally and even externally, so that we're able to develop our people properly.
Abdirahman Hassan, thank you for being on the Power Breakfast Show. Of course, the senator of Wajir County, even as it celebrates its 101th year of existence. We'll be right back.